Are you a woman standing at a crossroads, eager for change? It's time to connect with your authentic and empowered self at Boss Leap. Join Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker in this empowering community where real-life stories of courageous and talented women inspire and motivate. Engage in honest conversations that foster well-being, drawing from our own journeys. Let us guide you toward profound growth and transformation in both your personal and professional life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker.
Welcome to Boss Leap. My name is Dr. Sylvia Morris, and I'm here with my awesome co-host, Dr. Angela Walker. And today's guest is the definition of purpose and performance in motion. From her early days in Jamaica to managing elite athletes for the U.S. Olympic Committee, interning with the New York Jets, and leading humanitarian initiatives as an Obama Fellow and Oxfam conference officer, she has built a career that bridges excellence, empathy, and impact. Now, as the owner of Fastest Labs and Right at Home franchises, she's channeling those same high-performance principles into entrepreneurship and caregiving. We're diving into her journey and her leap from sports to service and how she's channeling leadership on her own terms. But before we get into our conversation with Michelle Rankine, we are going to talk about watering ourselves. Yes. So, Angela, how are you watering yourself today?
Yeah, I loved her analogies in terms of taking care of plants. So as we talked about in this episode, I am in a family situation. I'm trying to take care of my mom and get her through a health scare.
Life is lifing.
Life is truly lifing in its fullest effect. And I am just reminded by people that love me, like you and my family, to literally water myself. I get a text on a regular basis, how are you watering yourself? And I'm doing that by remembering to drink the water because I start off with my coffee. Yes. I have to have the coffee. And unfortunately, in a hospital or rehab facility, there is limitless coffee. Mm-hmm. So at least I'm getting that, but trying not to get too much. Trying to remember to eat healthy because, again, there are not always the healthiest choices, particularly when the cafeteria is closed. And so remembering to do those things for yourselves. Yeah. So eating healthy, but also trying to stick to my routine. And number one is trying to get the sleep, which is
that's tough.
Which has been difficult. So when I've had the opportunity, just remember to put the phone down and sleep, because if I'm not at my best, I'm not going to be at the best to help with my mom. So sleep. And then one of the things that Dr. Rankine mentioned is walking it off. There's no matter where you are, if you're in a hospital or if you're in the rehab, if you're at home, there's even in an enclosed space, you can walk. But if you can get outside and get a little bit of vitamin D, getting some of my walk in. So that's how I am watering myself right now. I'm maintaining also my prayer in the morning and my meditation. So as best I can. How about you?
I love that for you. You are doing all the things, and
I'm trying.
You're doing. It's whether Yoda say either do or not do, or he's like try or do or something. Anyway,
girl, I don't know. I
Star Wars reference,
and that's why I don't know. So go ahead. I was not a sci-fi, as bad as it sounds. I was not a sci-fi kid. So.
Well, I love when Dr. Rankine talked about resting during the storm. Mm-hmm. But your question for me was, how am I watering myself? And I do tend to send you text messages. Have you fed and watered yourself today?
And it's heard, it's received right at the right time. Mm-hmm.
Well, I always hope that it's not sort of annoying, but nonetheless, I have been drinking water. Has literally in watering myself. I think I was a little, as we would say in the hospital, a little volume down yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to get my water intake together. Mm-hmm. And then also we had a bit of a cold snap here in the Atlanta area, and it was in the
Yes.
20s when I woke up in the morning. So I did not get my walk for 2 days this week. The third
Yeesh.
day I went out, I saw one of my walking buddies.
Yes.
We're going to say hello to Miss Jerry and Charlie the dog. So I
Aw.
saw Miss Jerry and she says, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a few days." I was like, "Oh, it's too cold." She's like, "Well, Charlie and I were out and there's nothing like old lady shade and I
Telling you, yeah.
love it."
Love that. Love that.
And I can't wait to be one of those old ladies shading people. But I say all that to say that it's for me walking, as
Mhm.
Michelle, you will hear shortly from Michelle talking about walking and walking things off. When I start my day with a walk, my day is automatically better. So
Yeah.
water and walking are how I have been watering myself
The
recently.
W's. The
Yes.
powerful W's.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you sharing. And again, I appreciate everything that you do to lift me up. And I'm so happy that we have a guest today that I think will certainly give a lift to our spirits, and that what she does from a servant's heart is just invaluable. And I think she has so much salient information to share. And without further ado, we give you Dr. Michelle Rankine.
Michelle Rankine, welcome to Boss Leap.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
We are so excited to have you today. Is there something in particular before we get started that you want to leave our audience with?
I think the biggest thing that I would love to leave the audience with is no matter what leap you're taking in life, just make sure you experience those moments
Mm.
and feel through it. I think
Mm.
what I've learned in my years of entrepreneurship and even I sometimes was moving so fast, I didn't feel it, and I didn't always experience every moment. So celebrate your wins, celebrate your failures too, because there is a lesson to be learned. And with all of that, really sit and focus on the feelings that you have for each of it. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is to always reflect. And sometimes that reflection is daily in my journal. And sometimes I have to reflect on the trends that keep occurring.
So I think we'll just stop there, and we'll bring you back for another. That was amazing. All of that you want to leave our audience? That was amazing. Very, 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 very sage advice. And I am feeling everything that you just said. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, we can hear a little bit of an accent that you had. So we know that you immigrated to the US from Jamaica, and we'd really like to know how the Jamaican background shaped your identity, values, and even your approach to leadership, which we'll get into.
Oh, it has completely shaped everything about me. I came to the States when I was about 9. And even though my parents migrated here, I was still very much connected with my identity being Jamaican. I remember my experience in school where everyone was like, "What is she saying?" And I remember my mom saying, "Don't sound too Jamaican today, okay?"
How do I not do that, Mom?
Do that,
I'm
right?
Jamaican.
And she said, "Don't sound too Jamaican today.
Jamaican
They're not
today.
going to understand you." Because I always used to get frustrated having to repeat my words constantly.
Mhm.
But it was the best lesson for me, because one of the things that Jamaica shows you that I always like to mimic the garden, it's just rooted. And I said feelings before because sometimes we forget how deep our roots are. And for me, knowing my family history and just the legacy in Jamaica, we're just very prideful. And I was always rooted with that. Like, you come from a strong group of people. And we see that resilience right now with Hurricane Melissa. There is such hardship right now. And the biggest thing is resilience. And I think when you think of Jamaica, most people are excited, happy. And
Yes.
that is part of our roots. Our roots is just no problem. So there's absolutely nothing that you can't just say, there's no problem right now with that.
Right. How
That's
is your
beautiful.
family?
My family as well. My family as well. You know, the hurricane hit the western, what they call the breadbasket of Jamaica, where all the farms and really a lot of the economy, a third of the economy is. But my family lives in Kingston, and originally the Hurricane Melissa was to hit Kingston. I think, gosh, it's just devastation, and I'm actively helping, donating, and telling people to donate because it's going to take a lot to really
Okay.
recover from a Category 5.
And I guess we'll
Absolutely.
take the opportunity where if you had a listener
Yes.
that wants to donate, is there an avenue that you'd recommend?
Yes, Food for the Poor and Support Jamaica Government. They are actively helping. You can go to the Prime Minister's website and donate there, and then Food for the Poor. Food for the Poor has been very active in Jamaica for years, and
Wonderful.
they're building homes and getting necessary supplies out to those that have been affected.
Thank you so much for sharing that
Yeah.
with our audience. We'll put that in our show notes so that people
Uh-huh.
can make sure that they go to their websites.
Absolutely.
So you have had a very storied career in that you've worked for the U.S. Olympic Committee before the London Games. You interned for the New York Jets. What lessons have you learned from elite performance that help guide you today?
I think sometimes I always get asked that question. And then when it comes to sports, it is glitz and glam, right? But for me, it's just people. And I always kept in perspective, even on a game day, and everything is so busy behind you and you have to be focused. And that is the only thing I think with working in those environments, and you guys are in healthcare, you have to be so laser focused when you're in your flow. And I think as an athlete and as someone working outside, you have to know when you're in your flow. And so for me, my biggest thing is not to get caught up on the busyness of the outside, but I'm just helping people and people are helping me. It's that exchange every day, even in a very glitz and glam environment.
And
And
I
can you,
have to ask, the London Games, was Usain Bolt at that Games?
You saying yes?
Sorry, I had to ask. Okay.
and can you give our audience an idea of how you got to that point? I mean, what was the trajectory to that
To get to sports?
pinnacle? Yes.
You know what? My family is very rooted in sports. And so my grandfather was the first, I think, for the Caribbean. He owned a sports store in Jamaica, and I think he was the first person to have a contract with Adidas. And
Oh,
first
wow.
Black man to
That's
have a contract
big.
with Adidas.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so he did that. He also started the first women's netball team. And so he's one of the founders of creating that sport on the island.
So what is
Netball?
netball? I know basketball,
So
no volleyball.
netball is a British sport, and the only difference with basketball is you don't dribble. It's just a passing of the ball. It's very big in British colonies.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's a new one for me.
I'm like, why don't you want to bounce the ball? But I'm so American. Forgive me for that question. Okay. I have seen, and I think it's something about the court is like shorter. It's not as
it's shorter, and the rim is lower, and it's
Okay.
different. There's no net, but
But it's called netball.
Netball, but there's no net.
Okay.
So my grandfather, bless his heart, he had me in all things sports. So I mean, I used to sit ringside to go boxing matches and learn all about boxing, learned all about track. And so for me, I always felt like this has to be what I have to do because that's what grandpa told me. You know, that's what I did. And I was always a great spectator, and I was a really good athlete. And so I always felt like I had to live the legacy through him in that way.
Nice.
And now I'm doing something different, and I'm happy that I learned those foundations.
Absolutely.
And started because of grandpa. We call it Pancho.
Pancho? And is your grandfather still living?
No, he's not. He's not.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Lovely story about how he made such an impact on you, though. It's part of
Yes.
your roots, as you would say.
Yes.
So you also had time as an Obama Fellow
Yes.
and worked with Oxfam,
Mhm.
which definitely show your deep commitment to service. And would love to know how those experiences influenced you, like how to lead and truly how you define your success now.
I'll start with Oxfam. For those that aren't familiar with Oxfam, it's an NGO out of the UK. And my projects was specifically in empowering women to become farmers and finding women
Yes.
farmers in Latin America and expanding their ability to farm and giving them leadership skills, funding, and opportunity with the private markets. One of the big things we were able to do in some of the countries we were servicing in Latin America is a buffer fund. And what that meant is a lot. So for many people who are farmers, they go and they sell their goods and they get paid. Now, when you want to work with the Hilton's going to give you an invoice and it's going to say net 30.
Or
And
60.
right, that's 60. We know it could even be
Yes.
90. And you
Yes.
would have to have a department to chase that money. So,
Yes.
for the farmer, they're not willing to do those exchanges, especially if they don't
They
have
can't
that.
afford to.
Right.
No,
The
no,
day to day. Mm-hmm.
not at all. So we were able to put them into pods with the local coalitions and be able to give them the buffer. So they would give us the invoice and we would pay them.
Nice.
And that showed me in that element, I know nothing about farming. I may kill any plant that you give me, but it really showed me that the skills that I have in other assets are totally transferable. And that at a young, I think I was in my early 20s when I did that. I said, oh gosh, there's nothing I can't do because I'm now in farming. So that just made me feel like it really empowered me that I have the skill sets to really move from one element to a next. And then the opportunity with the Obama Fellowship, one showed me the elements and essence of grassroots marketing because we went door to door. I was in New Jersey, Iowa, and Colorado doing canvassing and campaigning and
That's
registering voters.
really
Boots on
hard.
the
I
ground.
didn't like going to someone's door and asking for things. I would bring water to the campaign all day. I have somebody stay at my house, but that's really hard. That's kudos to you.
Yeah. And you led right to my point. Fearless. Because
Yes.
in my head, I was like, why not? And they really do teach you, like, there is nothing to fear to knock on someone's door. They're just a human. And I'm actually not here to talk politics because I'm not a politician. I'm just here to find out what's important to you and know more about you and you to learn me. And so that was all the canvassing that we did. It wasn't to be a specialist on what was happening or what his thoughts were. It was just that I'm Michelle and this is who I am. I'm supporting him and I can tell you my why, but I would like to know what your concerns are. And having those opportunities, going into barbershops. I did a lot in Newark and New Jersey. I used to be at the train station just talking to just random people. And I make sure to stop when I see someone doing that now because I remember the feeling when people just especially New Jersey, New York. In Texas, they'll
They
say
have no
hi.
time.
Yes. Yeah,
Honey,
that's what we do
the
here.
laser focus is real for Jersey, New York. You could have fallen out and they're not going to look your way. And so that was a wonderful experience for me before taking the leap into entrepreneurship because there's many doors that I knock on that I could have a feeling of fear and I don't because this is just a person that I'm just trying to get to know.
So that experience taught you the value of being fearless, but I sense that you grew up as a fearless child. I mean, just everything that I'm hearing and all the accomplishments that you've had. And I may be wrong, so I'd like you to correct me if I am. But if not, tell me where you think that came from. You talked about your roots, but was there anyone in particular or anything that you saw growing up that showed you that
my mother.
anything was possible?
Yeah, my mother. I think she just said, hey, we're just going to go to America. No. And it was due to the fact I had a lot of health issues. And as a child, if there was something to fall over, I would fall over it. I was one of those accident prone, always in the hospital, broken arm, broken leg. And I think, when you're able to have a challenge happen, even as small as just breaking your arm, you learn a different level of empathy. And I learned that very young. And so for me, growing up, I had a neighbor and he had Down syndrome. And that was my best friend. And having him as a best friend and knowing his limitations always kept me in play mode. And for me, that's something that I always try and keep in mind, even as an adult. There is something to play and just have light spirits about. And so for me, that was my childhood. And I always see, even today, when I'm talking to girlfriends, I'm like, we can't take this so serious. There is something to laugh about and be lighthearted about.
Love
I
that.
love
Thank you.
that.
Same.
Yeah. So tell us then, how did you take the leap from sports and philanthropy to really healthcare and being a franchisee? What was the thing that said, this is a time for me to leap?
Well, it's so much easier to connect the dots backwards, but the most pivotal point was my brother's accident. Actually, it was kind of crazy. It was like I got my dream job, and then my brother's accident happened. I had just got offered from the IMF to be the director for Sports for Change for Latin America.
So that's the International
Wow.
Monetary Fund.
So they have a division where they help with sports. I didn't even start the job. I just got the offer, and my brother's accident happened. And I was at a point, I'm like, okay, what do I do? I can't take this job. David's accident has just happened. And of course, I chose my brother. And I continued the role that I was in. And with doing that, it just kept leaning back, like I need to be in healthcare. And I just think it was like a gut feeling. And to others that know me, they thought I was starch crazy. That you've been doing sports, that is you the whole time. What do you mean you want to get into healthcare? You don't know anything about healthcare. But I always had a servant heart. That has always been me. And so I just really feel that moment with my brother's accident really opened the door to just show me about home care. I technically always knew home care, but I just never saw it as a profession. And I also have parents that they didn't want me to do what they did. So my mom was a caregiver at nights when she was working multiple jobs. My aunt was a caregiver. And I remember going to homes as like maybe 11 or 12. And she would say, you can't leave the kitchen. You sit down, you do your homework. And she would be watching someone. And of course, in my head, I'm like, wait, I always had that exposure. And all through high school, I was a candy striper, always in the hospital.
Okay. Remember those days.
Yeah, I loved it. And I did it even in grad school. I volunteered at University of the West Indies Hospital in Jamaica when I was doing my graduate research. So I always had a servant heart. And so when right at home or like home care agencies, when I really looked at it, I was like, I can do this. And so I just led with faith and said, I just think I can do this.
Wow. And so our audience knows you have 3 Right at Homes, correct? The home care agency. And then you also transitioned you've also purchased Fastest Labs. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Fastest Labs, I got into during COVID because during COVID, it was such a need for tests. And so I said, I'm really passionate about following models. And so I was like, do I do this all by myself? I said, no, let me see if there's a franchise model. And I saw that Fastest Labs. And what it does actually complements my Right at Home business in 2 ways. One, all of my employees get extra screen drug testing through Fastest Labs. And it actually scares people. So it's like a tactic to remove those that really feel that they're going to pop dirty. Because I say, hey, you go to Fastest Labs. And they're like, oh, you're not doing it in-house,
Yeah.
And so that really has heightened our ability to hire better. 2, it helps with the care level. As you know, I really focus on dementia care. I'm a certified dementia practitioner. And one of the biggest things with dementia patients is that they can't voice how they feel, how medications react for them. So within the lab, we do PGX testing, which is pharmacogenetic testing. And that gives us the ability to, when we onboard any patient, to do a test. And so they know how these medications react from their DNA, what they would have adverse reactions to and what they don't. And where
So
the
like
medication.
SIP, we call them like SIP reactions or, okay, all right.
And it's just
So,
a cheek swab, and it's non-invasive, and we
Okay.
get this full report. What also helps is that we do that generally when we have families, we'll do it for the patient and the families. And what it does
that's
also show
valuable.
is the gene, if you have the APOE gene for dementia.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting to me when I have the data and there's patients that are very, very difficult. And I see they have E4 from mom and dad. And I'm like, that is the dementia gene, and they have it from both. And they've had early onset from, like, when I talk to the families and get their full history, they've been having these issues presenting of early dementia from in their late 40s.
Wow.
And they had the gene. And so the families then test. So for me, Fastest Labs just allows me to complement to give better care in regards for my right at home clients. And that's really how I focus it. But we
Got
do
it.
other things as well. We do paternity tests and all the other
Okay.
things.
So
Okay.
let's go back a little bit to the dementia testing.
Yes.
Are there family members that say, "Hey, I don't want to know the results," or how do you have
Yes.
the conversation
Yeah.
around, we have this information, we can't necessarily do anything. There's maybe one or two therapeutics out there. Don't know, don't have all the data for that. But how do we use this information? And I think my second question is, does this information then sit somewhere where insurers, as far as getting life insurance, how how is all this handled?
So in my elements, these are all private pay. So technically, it
Okay.
won't impact your insurance, and I have to get their full consent to do the test. Where I do find is that I'll have many conversations where they will test their loved one because they understand the benefit of what it's going to do for their care to know how these medications are reacting. But then I'll get a couple calls with them saying, I don't know if I want to know.
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to know if I have the gene because mom, I had one
Right.
specifically where it was E4, E4. So he already knows he's going to have a 50% chance. But he was like, do I really want to know if I have a 100% chance that this is going
Right.
to my trajectory? He's like,
Affect me.
yeah, I got a call from him every evening for at least a week, going through that process. And I told him, when you're ready, you'll know. And if
Yeah.
you don't want to know, that's fine.
That's okay
And
too.
because I have to have their full consent. But this test, what it does do, and what I tell people to do, is keep it in your phone or keep the document where anytime there's an emergency, you have it. Because what it really goes through is any medication you'll ever take, and you could have an incident in the hospital. You bring it to your PCP, and if there is medication you're taking that can be changed and there's an alternate, go for the alternate because it's going to have a better reaction for you. So I always tell them, you bring it to your PCP will go through it and keep it with you in the event you ever have a hospitalization. So you know these are the medications that you can and cannot.
Okay. Okay. So, wow. So, as we said, you're doing fascinating things, and it just seems to continue to build. I mean, we don't talk about ages here, but you've lived a full lifetime in your years thus far. Tell us what you consider maybe your biggest boss leap so far, like just some defining decision or experience that changed everything for you.
Hearing that question is hard, right? But honestly, the biggest boss leap moment for me is I took an opportunity while doing my PhD to really not be paid. And that is the biggest
Okay.
boss leap. And the reason why I say that is because, like I mentioned, the other things that I've done in the past, you find who you are when no one else is looking. And I had an opportunity to help a girlfriend She lived in Washington, D.C. She started a nonprofit called Dream Jamaica. I was in Jamaica doing my research at the time, and she said, Michelle, I need someone to just bring this to life. And I was like, sure, I have a education. So we build the whole plan and the curriculum, and then really execute it for the kids. And for me, we just kind of mimicked Upper Bound, but for Jamaica,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because that didn't exist. So it was
Okay.
really just taking the ideas that exist and implementing it. We had it at the University of the West Indies. We would get a bus, get the kids. And these kids, I mean, their success ratio, we got kids in MIT, we got kids in
Yeah.
Princeton. And these are kids that come from, they would never have the opportunity to take the SAT
Exposure.
to be
Yeah.
able to get to that. And also, we had tons that now know how to navigate to get to tertiary level just locally. And that has been my biggest boss leap, because now when I did that when I was 23,
Mhm.
they're all professionals now, and they're attorneys, and they call me. And that for me has been the
Yeah.
most rewarding boss leap, because one, I did something that I was doing my doctorate. Most people may not say, I'm going to do something that's really not paying you your work,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Or to
Yeah.
really fall back and really do it full time.
Right.
And that for me is my biggest boss leap, because those kids always constantly say that was the best experience in my life. That summer was the best experience. And that is what I hold true.
Yeah.
What a
Showing
legacy.
kids, what is possible
Yeah.
pays off exponentially, and particularly kids that otherwise would not have an opportunity to see or hear or feel or taste what's actually possible. That's
Oh, yeah.
beautiful. And we
Yeah.
should all be striving for that, even at no matter where we are in life, is to continue to pay it forward and to give back. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And certainly right at home
Mhm.
is, as you talked about, it's healthcare, it's a home health agency. How do you use your experience from sports in your leadership skills or leadership style for right at home?
Well, I will say one thing. We're not home health. We are
Thank you.
home care.
Home
And
Okay.
care.
I
So
don't
tell
like
us the difference between
Yes.
home health and home care.
Sure. So home health is prescribed by doctor's orders, and that is paid by your insurance to do skilled care, which is
Mhm.
PTOT nursing.
Mm-hmm.
While home care is considered what they say non-medical care. It can be
Mhm.
continuous from a 1 hour visit to 24/7 care, where we're helping with activities of daily living, which is
Ah,
inclusive
yes.
of a shower, a bath, eating, grooming, everything they need, which families do normally for their loved ones, but probably not trained to do so and really needing a professional to do it.
So, as Michelle knows and Sylvia knows, at this moment in time, I recognize your business as being invaluable, because unfortunately, I'm in a situation where my mom has had a stroke. And not only do I feel the gravity of all the potentiality of, what that means for her, but it's also what it means for the family and how we move forward. And we're in a state of unknowing, because we're not quite sure how well things will progress and what direction. But I can only say that speaking to you today and to the people that are listening, just invaluable the type of service that you provide. And I can say that you think about the hospitalization, about follow-up care, that sort of thing, but it really is what happens when the patient comes home or
Mhm.
has to go to a skilled nursing or assisted living, those sorts of things. There's still needs that have to be met. And as I have found out, your services even extend to those situations. So it's not just somebody that being at home. So I'd love to, we'll talk more, but I cannot express how relevant your services are right now. We live in a sandwich generation,
Mhm.
between our kids and our loved ones. And I think this is an area that we don't talk about enough. And people always say that, in our communities, we take care of our elders, but are we always taking the best care of them? And I think having experts in the field like you and seeking the guidance can be very helpful, not only to the patient, but to the patient's family. So grateful for what you do.
No, no problem.
And Michelle, can you share with our audience what your usual client is, who they are, what they look like, how you work with them? If you could just kind of give us a little snippet of that.
Oh, I think it falls into 3 different categories when I look at clients. I think most of my clients are going to be those with cognitive impairment of some sort, whether early to late
So
onset.
some sort of dementia, we're going to use that as sort of a broad term.
Yeah, dementia
Okay.
for sure. That is generally one bucket of patients. I think the other set of patients that we help a lot are just those with a lot of comorbidities. So they have multiple diagnoses, COPD, CHF. They may have some cognitive impairment. They may have a recent fall. That's all kind of just a storm together. They've had a fall and they may have had a stroke. It's just a whole lot happening back to back to back. And I think one of the things with that ends up happening is everyone, and I just like to say this, everyone likes to think their person is okay, but we really don't know. And so healthcare at this moment in time is really a black box of a plane methodology. We crash and then we try to fix backwards versus being proactive of saying, okay, I know what's happening. And we don't want to challenge our parents to have the hardest conversations about what the truth is.
But how do we have conversations with our elders? Because in my experience, you have the conversation, you continue to have the conversation, you make recommendations about moving to a place where maybe there are no stairs or maybe you can have meals, and you talk to your blue in the face, and they don't want to move. So then there's a crisis, and then we all have to, jump to act. So can we back up, and how do we then have better conversations with our elders? Because I think it's a long process
Oh, yes.
to get them to see what may be the benefits of a ride at home or moving closer, those things.
I think intervention has to start way early, way early. That's the only time I've ever seen it really work successful. And really and truly, I'm saying this, that these are tips, but we already know everybody's different.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's different levels of stubbornness. And I think everyone has
Old people gonna be old people.
They got their ego right here.
Yeah.
Their pride
Dealing
is
with
right
the
here.
highest.
I'm fine.
I don't need that. Come on.
Yeah.
But I
Stop
think
treating me.
if you can find examples of where it works. So, for example, you mentioned a great thing. They may live in a huge house and they can't manage this house, right? We've done it a couple times with some clients. I'm like, let your mom go on a little vacation in a 1-story and spend a week with her and see if she doesn't have that experience differently. I think taking those moments of respite and giving them a taste of what it could be, not committing, not saying this is what it is and what you could, but give them a taste of it. And I think also reframing what it is key. I always tell people, tell your mom, would she like a personal assistant? Do not tell them you want caregiving, because that means
Personal
I want
assistant.
my independence.
Yes.
That's genius.
That
You
is
frame
genius.
it as a personal assistant.
assistant.
She's just here, Mom. I need an assistant.
Me
Yep.
too.
I have one. This is going to be your personal assistant. When they hear those words, oh, okay. Because the personal assistant is going to be there, and they're more willing to take that feedback from the personal assistant and not you.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I think diverting those hard conversations to the people you have in your life that they trust is the second part of that conversation. So doing a little intervention, giving them a taste of it, rewording it for them to understand it, and then having the opportunity of either having conversations with their wealth managers, their attorneys, their physicians, to also reiterate what that
Mhm.
looks
Mhm.
like on the other end. And I don't mean a scare tactic, but
No.
you have to give all those pieces
Yes.
so they can really say, and we've done it a couple times with some people, and literally the daughter's like, okay, it worked.
Wow.
It worked. And this is a 6-month year process. This doesn't happen overnight.
At least.
But because when the plane
Or
crashes,
11.
right, there is no turning back.
Right.
No.
There's no turning
Right.
back.
And it's woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow. Well, living it now, I love all of those ideas. I'm probably not in the best frame of mind other than to say I think our best bet is for us right now to start mapping out our own desires and
Mhm.
letting our friends and families know, because I think we're in the situation where we can educate each other and make those, your advanced directives, your wills, all of those things, put all of your intentions out there. I tell my kids frequently, it's okay. Whenever it's time, I am going to be a willing participant, because I know what I want is not always going to be in their best interest. And they definitely will want to take care of me. And so there's going to be a time where sometimes we're going to have to give up some of the control. And so I think it's just valuable to have these conversations. But I love the personal assistant and how you're framing it, and maybe the vacation where you can show them a smaller environment and that sort of thing. Those are great ideas. So I know people are taking notes right now.
Absolutely. So, what do you see on the horizon for Right
Mm.
at Home, along the lines of home care? What are the trends? Where do you expect things to go or hope to go?
I think right now the trend is technology, right? And I think with, the AI boom and all that, I think especially specifically of what we're doing right now, in my office, we're going to be launching a product which basically every person would be able to have 24/7 virtual care. And
Wow.
it's
But
not,
if you fall, how is
Oh,
virtual care
yes.
gonna help you? Yes, I've fallen and I can't get up, but help me understand that.
so basically we're going to be using an audio AI technology. And the audio AI technology, I think when someone knows, and this is like, okay, we just talked about the whole control issue, right? If
Yes.
seniors see cameras, yeah, right. They're not
Right.
going to be down for that. They see
Mhm.
lights or anything that
I
is,
don't even like
Mhm.
Siri or Alexa listening to me.
yes, yeah, that part. This actually looks like, when you have young kids, you put the little thing in
Like a
the
baby
socket.
monitor?
No, not
Yes.
not that. In the
Okay.
socket to cover the socket.
Yes.
Oh,
It
Yes.
just,
yes.
The light
yeah,
socket. Hmm.
yeah. You just kind of put it in it. That's
Or
how
the
it
electrical
looks.
socket. Hmm.
It's just that small, and it doesn't light up. It's just something plugged in the socket, really small, like a little cube.
Hmm.
And this
Mm.
cube is not to listen in like Alexa. It's just health monitoring. So key trigger words, if you say things repetitively, if you fall sound the same. It speaks every language, and it's picking up your pattern, the pattern of when you
Wow.
make noise when you wake up in the morning every day. When
Mm.
you say, "Oh, did I take that medicine? What did I take? Was it the blue pill?" It's just picking up the trigger words. It's just not automatically
Mm.
listening,
Mm.
and it's going to give you full reports so you know what you don't know. And I
Mm.
think that is where
That's
most
interesting.
of the trend for home care will be, because home care, having a caregiver is very expensive. But
Yes.
Yes.
having access to that, we were just having this conversation, Angela, having that
Yes.
access is going to be
Yes.
key, because now as a child caring for your loved one,
Mhm.
data can't lie.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
The data
Hmm.
can't lie to say this report says, Ma, you're really waking up at this time.
Hmm.
Now, having that conversation to let them know it's in there versus not, that's going
Yeah.
to be different. I think having the information there is crucial just for you to know. and really getting them on board slowly about it
Yeah.
after you know the truth.
And Michelle, you mentioned the part that was poignant to me is in terms of like a independent, fiery, stubborn, elderly parent that wants to live on their own. Most of them, I think, at least my mom was interested in the what are the devices that you use around your neck,
Life Alert?
like health Life Alert. Absolutely, see this being something at least that my mom would have been willing to have. But what you mentioned is even like a fall, I would have been alerted at that moment. So, I mean, Sylvia and I have seen patients that have,
They're down for
down
a
for
day or
days.
so.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
So
so
can you
sad.
tell us that is this something that's available now, or you foresee it coming in the near future? Is this something that
Oh,
you
I'm
would
going to
be
have it
able
in
to
a month.
provide? Oh,
I'm going to have
wow.
it. Yeah. So it's available
All
now.
right.
It is
Okay.
now.
So
And
Is
we
it
could,
commercially available, or do I need to go through Right
you would
at
have to
Home?
go through whoever is the home care agency.
proprietary.
Ah,
Got it.
okay.
Okay.
Good to know.
But you have the option to either have the home care agency monitor it, or
Ah,
you can say, I don't want to pay Right at Home for services. I can monitor it myself. But you have an app that's connected to it, and it's going to
Mhm.
alert you that anytime there's a fall, anytime there's like, they
wow.
can hear, an EMS
Yes.
call. It's listening. It's listening for that.
Wow.
That is interesting. I guess my brain then goes to, wow, I wonder where this. So it's learning, it's artificial intelligence, so it's learning, but then who is ultimately owns the information, and
Mm.
then when they do the next iteration, they create the next thing. You can hear I'm a
The
little
skeptic.
paranoid about giving away my
skeptic.
data.
I
I
know.
don't like giving away with my data, but it's great.
Yeah, I totally understand. But I think my biggest thing is when especially because I have people, I'm talking about it, right? This is more invasive than that.
You're right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you have a phone,
Yeah.
this always, if I can say I want essential oils, I'm not going to see essential oils pop up
Absolutely.
on my phone.
Isn't that
For
scary? Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this is 10 times more invasive
Mm-hmm.
than that. What I'm going to be really talking about specifically as I'm launching more of this product is really just for people to understand that this is preventative, because even though
Mhm.
you could have a life alert, and I'm going to tell you right now, seniors don't like wearing it.
Oh, they
Yes.
take it off. It'll
Yes.
be in the
Oh,
kitchen and they fall in the bathroom. Oh,
Yes.
I just took it off. I didn't like it. No, all the time.
Mhm. So we need something, because I can't tell you how often I get those calls, and it breaks my heart that someone has been on the floor for days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Days.
Seen it.
And that's just disheartening.
Yeah.
I was going to simply ask, what in the final few moments, tell us what else we should be thinking about when it comes to home care for our elders. If there are only sort of three things that we can do right now.
I think the biggest thing is starting the conversations early.
Yes.
If you go to my website, there is literally, I have a guide that guides you through that questionnaire
Nice.
on how to have those conversations with an aging adult. I also think it's important what Dr. Walker mentioned in regards to that planning later. And there is a great nonprofit organization called Start the Conversation. And it really starts about end of life planning and
Yes.
how those questions could be asked and who needs to be involved in that family planning. Because I think one of the biggest things is just preparation and knowing, right? So I always suggest, if in a perfect world, right, your mom, your dad needs to know Mom, we need to know, what hospital do you want to go to? If there's the event, something happens, what hospital do you want to go to? Let's start there, because that's going to be helpful for your care and who your doctors are. Then I want to know, okay, well, if you needed to go to rehab, let's go see which rehabs you want to go to. Not wait till when the hospital is pushing you out and you have no choice in the matter of the rehab
Yes.
you go to.
Yes. So important.
Mm.
And then choose a home care company, right? Who do I trust to be alongside this journey? Kind of like what Dr. Walker was mentioning. I'm usually in the home, but really and truly, people hire me to be advocates in the hospital and the skilled nursing facility
Absolutely.
because that they are not set up for one-to-one care. And what most of us do is sit at the bedside, being there, loss of sleep, loss of income, and we're rotating shifts when someone else can be that advocate for you.
Yeah.
And so I just think planning that out with your loved one of like, Mom, in the event, let us go tour and pick our top 3. And I think that is what should be done early and just having the conversation. And I think just leading with, I love Brene Brown, to be clear is to be kind. And when you're dealing with seniors, sometimes, or even myself, if someone sells me something and they frame it in a way that I understand it, I will buy. So frame things in a way that they understand. We're speaking to a totally different generation.
Yeah.
So speak
So,
in that way that they can understand.
Definitely.
so
And even if
important.
you
Great
don't have the
information.
resources to employ a home care agency, I still think it's important to have the conversations around
Absolutely.
what hospital you want to go to, what your wishes are, where all your stuff is, meaning the deed to the house and,
Yes.
all of the things. So I think that this is a really important conversation. So thank you for sharing that with our audience.
No
Yes.
problem. No problem.
And so on a lighter note, we're talking about all the high pressure work that you do, your high performance environments throughout your entire career. We'd love to know what self-care looks like for you now and how you maintain balance as this business leader and phenom that you are.
Well, I'll tell you, self-care is always, it's never that you got it together. I'm going to tell you that. It is never that. I
Never.
removed that pressure off of me a long time ago. So I'm like, wait, I thought I had it all together. And I'm like, wait. It's a fluid thing. Like I mentioned earlier, I really can kill something really well. Like if you gave me a plant, I might not do well. And I've invested in this AI garden and it somehow has died. But my number one thing that I remind myself, I have a little sheet and I could send it to you guys. It's called Tending to My Garden. And with tending to my garden, I have 4 things on there. What do I do to water myself every day to fill up my cup? And to be quite honest, anytime when I get highly stressed, there is nothing that I can't walk off. I put on my shoes and I go take a lap.
Yeah.
Because that gives me good dopamine, good clarity. I can walk off any stress.
Yes.
So if I just, even if I step out my office, I'm gonna go walk down the street. I don't care what temperature.
Yes.
I'm gonna walk and come back. That is my self-care, especially in a high stress environment, just taking those moments for myself. I think the second thing is I like to say wearing the gloves, which is me creating boundaries. I was always a person that struggled to say no because I want to be all things to all people and say, yes, I can do that. And there's nothing wrong with saying not right now. And
Or no. I like
no. Or no.
Or no.
No, that's just not something I can do right now. And so that was very hard for me. And it's something I consistently work on is just creating my boundaries. And then my other option that I always have to constantly do is how am I feeding my soil, right? And for me, that's journaling. And I really take some time for myself to reflect every day because I could have the hardest day possible, but there is something that gave me a little bit of joy, something. And I have to look at that and not the other. And then the final thing, which is to me, storms. For any thriving garden, there's going to be a storm, there's going to be rain. It's not all going to be sunshine. So I have to realize that the storm is going to happen, but I can make it through it. But the other day I was thinking about it when I was like journaling and I said, wait, but I like storms because when storms come, I rest.
Mm.
And so I really have been finding that when those storms come, take that time to rest.
Mhm.
Because there's a reason why the storm happens. It doesn't last for long, but take that time to rest.
I receive that.
And that's it, ladies.
I receive that. Wow, this has been like 3 episodes in one. You have given us so much valuable information, and I think so much to think about and even actionable steps to take from today. And this, your episode is going to air during National Caretakers Month,
Caregivers Month,
Caregivers Month,
which is
and
November.
I can't, think of a better way to end the month. And I will have to say, I just have to add, because again, I've already mentioned what you do is invaluable, but being on the other side of the healthcare arena right now, there are so many people, as you mentioned, like a rehab environment or even the hospital, that there are so many people that give and give and give and give and give. And we say that you need an advocate in the hospital because they can't give one-on-one care, not because they don't want to, but because the system, it does not allow them to. And I have just been so blessed. I'm so blessed, and my mom's so blessed with so many beautiful souls that are giving and giving and giving. And you see that they would want to be there 100% of the time to care for you. But the value of having, for a caretaker, of having a break and someone that can actually maybe step in if I need to do something or work. And that's where your company comes in. So I just wanted to mention that. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and for the people that are listening to have a resource. And along those lines, is there anything that you would like to share with our audience here that maybe we didn't mention, and certainly ways that they can reach you?
Sure. I think the one thing that I do want to say is access. If you know you don't have the resources to get caregiving, there are free resources. You might be a veteran, and
Yes.
any agency that's contracted with the VA can walk you through those steps. Right at Home we can do that. But I also think it's important, if you get connected with your community, there are different avenues that can get free care. It's different per every state. It's different per every county. An area agency on aging is one that's nationwide. And in every state, they use that grant money differently. In some of my counties that I serve, it is actually one-to-one care. And that is a great resource. So I always feel, ask the questions, as specifically if you end up in a hospital or get connected into like the senior centers. They all these resources and nonprofits that are out there, just make a call your local county, and just keep calling, and you'll find out where those resources are. Sometimes it's not all blatant, but I know for myself, I have a list. And so anytime when someone calls and they can't afford my services, I give them those options.
Nice.
So I always just want to make sure that, don't be discouraged. There is opportunities for access to it. And I think the best way to reach me is through our website, www.rahdfw, so right at home, DallasFortWorth.com. And my panhandle is Michelle Rankine, PhD, on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Always just drop me a message and I'll always reach out.
Beautiful. Very good.
Thank you so much, Michelle Rankine, for sharing so many valuable pearls around care at home and just your awesome journey. You definitely do have a serving heart. And we at Boss Leap, we thank you, and may you be well.
Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you. May you be well. Sylvia, what an incredible conversation. From her Jamaican roots to the global stage of sports and now entrepreneurship, today's guest reminded us that excellence isn't just about performance, it's about purpose, compassion, courage. Her journey from managing Olympians to building businesses that care for others is the perfect example of what it means to take the leap, to trust your vision, lead with heart, and leave a legacy that matters. What I just can't imagine a better guest for this moment in time, particularly in my
Very
life, but
timely. Yes.
very timely, but is, Caregivers Month. So tell me what pearls you were left with today.
Michelle, every now and then we have a guest that surprises me in wonderful ways. I learned something from all of our guests, but
Absolutely.
Michelle Rankine in particular, when she just right out the box talked about being laser focused in your flow. And I like that we kind of highlighted the fact that there is a flow. And I think of it as sort of the energy of the moment. Some people think of it as kind of spirit led, your steps being ordered. But when you're in the flow and you know it, and I can be grateful that I am in that flow and welcome the continuation of said flow, and knowing that even if when it ends, because things ebb and flow in life, that
Yes.
I can always return to the flow. So I love that. And then also when she talked about the importance of starting the conversations with our elders, you and I both
Yes. Yeah.
are
Living
caregivers,
it.
and having these conversations with our elders is not always easy. And the steps that she gave us are going to be invaluable to our audience. And then I think finally, she reminded me to listen to our gut. And I think we don't put enough emphasis, I think, on listening to our gut. And I'm not saying just kind of going willy-nilly with what you feel like you want to do, but being very intentional about the process and the preparation, and then being still and listening to our gut. But what
Yeah.
were your take homes?
Oh man, so many. I loved her entire take on how to approach, the elders, because it's so pertinent to me. And one of the things that actually came to mind just now when you were talking about starting the conversation, sometimes that part is for you as well, because even with
Yes.
when you have someone that is very set in their ways and they have, their absolute plan and they may not budge to the position that you think they should take, knowing that you have actually made the attempt and had the conversations more than once also can give you peace of mind. So for the
And
people
we
that
can
are,
start planning too, because a
yes,
storm is going to come. So
yes,
who do we need to
yes,
call?
yep,
Do we have access to their bank account? There's some steps that
yes,
we can start doing and planning, even if they
that's
don't
right.
want to move.
That's right. That's exactly, and those things have happened. So yes,
Yes.
I loved how she croached the idea of a personal assistant. I mean, who doesn't
No.
want a personal assistant,
Genius.
right?
Yes.
Or maybe one or two personal assistants.
Right.
So that idea, and it's not as if you're being deceptive. It's true. That's
Mm-hmm.
essentially what they're doing. She talked about the importance of watering your garden, and it sounds like she does a good
Yes.
job of that. And as you mentioned, as we talked at the top of the hour about, watering ourselves literally and figuratively. What stuck with me in the very beginning of the conversation was the value of your roots. And
Yes.
I will say that I don't know personally a friend from Jamaican roots that is not deeply rooted and proud of where they've come from. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And I want,
Mm-hmm.
my kids to feel that. And I see the value of continuing to pour into your family, your
Mm-hmm.
friends, and be proud of where we've come from. Be proud of how strong and resilient we are as, Black
As a
Americans,
people.
African American, as a
Yes.
people, yes, and continue to grow and fly and bring others up behind
Mhm.
us. And,
Irrespective of what may be happening
mhm,
outside of
yeah,
our communities, or
absolutely.
what may be what people are
In
trying to
spite of,
inflict on our communities. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So much that we had, and we would love to share more from Dr. Michelle Rankine. And hopefully you have received something today that might be of value, either in your own life, for someone that you know. You can find us on all streaming platforms, and you can also subscribe on YouTube. Our website is bossleap, LEAP, podcast.com. On any of these, you can send us a message. Certainly, if there's something that you'd like to hear and share, we would love to hear from you. So until we meet again, may you be well.
May you be well.
That's a wrap on another episode of Boss Leap. May this conversation enlighten your path toward personal growth and professional empowerment. For more thought-provoking and eye-opening discussions like this one, head to our website at bossleappodcast.com. Always remember to celebrate your wins and trust yourself. A positive mindset can push you out of your comfort zone and into far greater heights. Until next time, may you be well.
Before we go, there's one more thing the lawyers have asked us to include. You know, it's the legal language, and you know how doctors love lawyers. This podcast is presented only for educational and entertainment purposes. Although we are doctors, on this show, we are just your friends. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Understood? Awesome. We'll see you in the next episode.